Hi people, welcome to Blue K Jazz Dance. One of the key things I want to share with you is why I went back into higher education. Higher education offered me one of the greatest opportunities to fulfill a lifetime dream, which was to gain higher educations to underpin my vocational knowledge of arts management, administration, and business management. And it was required because one of the key things I was unable to compete at the highest level. I wanted to work on an international scale as a speaker, as a coach, and a mentor. And what happened, I'm coming against people who've got PhDs who are vocational also. I'm coming against people who've got a master's who have got vocational experience also, got a degree, HND, O levels, A levels, different types of qualifications, MVQs as an individual. So what happened was, for me to go back to what was important to go at higher education was to underpin my vocational knowledge by academic knowledge, analytical thinking. Most importantly, to broaden my horizons for what I wanted to do with my art form, UK Jazz Dance. One of them was to go back to the stage and manage myself and promote myself from a different perspective, from a business perspective, which I'd never done before. And basically, I had an idea to come back to use dance from a number of perspectives, which was personal development, professional development, and research and development. Because what happened was, no one's really done research into UK jazz dance. Yeah, to what's its role and responsibility, into how it developed for each dancer, pioneers, socially, physically, intellectually, culturally, emotionally, spiritually, emotionally, politically, economically, legally. I wanted people to get an insight into this art form, even for myself. So one of the key things when you go into higher education, it offers the opportunity to work alongside people to broaden horizons. Most importantly, a number of key reports. Department of Culture, Media, Sports identified that all artists had not been trained for the commercial industries. And that was correct. That was so bang on the money, everybody went and started to engage in leadership courses. So one of the key things, people had not been taught to write their practice. So some people didn't know the practice, the processes and principles. Because one of the key things as a coach, if you want to pass on your knowledge, you have to have systems, and you have to have processes to do that. You have to know your practice to do that. I'd already been in that road, but one of the key things was Department of Culture, Media, Sports said, look, every dancer has to bridge the gaps in their learning if they want to be able to compete in the 21st century and to be the best coaches and mentors for other people and for themselves. And that was what is important to me. What was important to me, I don't want to be a talker. I want to be a leader of action, not a person in position. There's many people who lead, for example. I'm a dancer who's lectured, has been a teacher, has worked in companies, and what happens, I've been to master classes where the teachers didn't know as much as I did. They were in a position of leadership. I was a teacher of action. So what happened was, they fell short in what I needed from them. Why they fell short of what needed? Because they didn't recognize that there's dancers who have pushed the boundaries of their learning thinking. They explore more about dance than some universities. And I was an institution. So one of the key things was I wanted to develop my own institution. I wanted to do that a long time ago, and I started to do that. But what happened was, unfortunately, my research was stolen. Do you understand? Money was stolen. Evidence of me developing what I was doing in research was stolen. And anybody knows that if you get your research stolen, wow, I can't tell anybody how devastated you feel. So one of the key things, that was the reason I wanted to go back to create new research over the time I was in university, was from 05 to 09. I decided that I'm going to prepare myself to go back to stage as a live improvisational performer. What was coming out is there has to be new leadership taking place now, new leaders who come from an alternative perspective. I, as an individual, to come from an alternative perspective from leadership. Dance, I realized, was the key tool I used for my active lifestyle, and that's what was coming up. A lot of individuals needed to engage in a lifestyle, and my lifestyle was my culture. My lifestyle was movements, and one of the things was I used dance for a wide range of ways, and I wanted to put them into programs. So one of the things I used dance for, to dance it out, to dance out my stress, to dance out my celebration, to dance out my emotions, my confusion, to dance out my disorientation. Do you understand? I use dance in different ways. I use dance to improve my writing. I use dance to improve my speaking. basically I used dance to improve my communication skills, and I wanted to share with people how I did that. But dance enables people to engage in learning from a number of perspectives, from a fun perspective, from a wider perspective, and from a wider cultural experimental perspective. Dance has complementary arts. So that's why I wanted to go back to university and gain the support of the university specialists, gain of the university mentors, coach, consultants, counselors, and actually use some of what I had already done on students. And I did this thing called Student Empowering Students, where we're going to explore issues using dance as the vehicle, because every country has dance. They all have the social dancing. So what is the purpose of social dancing? Is a tool to have a conversation. And what has happened, for example, in the UK to marginalised groups, what happened to them in their social dancing? Social dancing was diminished, was debased. Yeah, Irish dancing was debased. Jig was debased. Morris dancing was debased by the elite and the church. So I wanted to talk about how we can use dance as a tool to explore any issue you want to do. Yeah, but you need an expert to able to take you on a journey with the dance. And I've been an expert in using the arts for to explore issues, to do a variety of things, and using it for training. Now, what's happened has come big while I went back to university is huge now that the arts has got recognition that is vital to the next 21st century learners. Art, creativity, creative thinking, artistic development is going to play a vital role in the communication of the next generation of young people that are coming and adults that are coming. But you need to understand what I recognize, this is not new. Thousands and thousands of years ago, the arts was recognized and it lost its recognition. People got that. Now it's regained it. Now what happened, I went back to university to find research to underpin the ideas research that I had done before, to shape, to test my own self, because I was an individual with slow learning, identified as a slow learner, and I had a bad experience the first time I was in education. I did well, but I struggled. And the amazing story was going back to university liberated me. Going back to university freed me, because I found out I was dyslexic, and I realized I'd used my dyslexia gifts to cope, manage, and overcome the challenges that I faced through dyslexia. Amazing story. So what happened when I went back to university, it was a gift, because you're supposed to push the boundaries. My philosophy, you must always push the boundaries of your learning, thinking, development. I did short courses. I got a coach, academic coach, business coach, management coach to help me. And I said I wanted to go back into higher education, and I got their support, and I got their support in university. Through me doing that, I challenged myself. I overcame barriers to learning, which people did not know about, to train and developing by going back to university. It was one of the greatest things I ever did, because what it did, it informed me why I had health challenges as a person with special education needs. They were attributed to dyslexia stress, asthma stress, visual stress. If I didn't go back to university, I would have not known how to combat, during my latter stages of my university, how to combat sepsis, blood poisoning, and the symptoms that came out through blood poisoning. I was able to combat because of 5 years at university through the research that I did. Amazing story. So I went back to university to broaden my horizons, to underpin. So there's a number of reasons I went back. It was to support the next generation of people. You cannot coach, mentor next generation of people unless you know what they experience. And I say that by different ways. But I'm a person who goes into firsthand. As an individual, I support dancers. I've supported dancers and people who don't want to dance, just want to use dance as a vehicle, because I use it as a vehicle for their active lifestyle. Do you understand? Just want to use dance to dance it out, to get rid of emotion and all that. I've helped a lot of people do that. Then there's other people wanting to be professional dancers. I help them. My ability to help them has been the fact I'd gone through what they'd gone through. So I helped a lot of people who didn't believe they could be dancers. I helped African dancers get into contemporary dance schools when they never did know contemporary dance. They never believed it. They didn't have a clue. I helped them because I knew that they could dance. But they needed someone who understood where they're coming from. And that's one of the greatest things. Me going to university is one of the greatest things I could have done, because university was transforming when I went in, because of the department Culture, Media, Sports talking about basically that people that be trained adequately, they needed to know how to do personal development planning, they need to have career employability advice, they needed to write their unique selling points, they needed to see themselves as a business, because what's the future is more people going to be freelancing, more people basically going back to the 18th century. That's what's going to happen when the burst of 1750, when the birth of modernism came. A lot of people, they had big companies, we had people self-made, people were freelancers, people became self-employed on a present scale, remember, in this period. And it was an important time when technology was here. Well, that is what university shaped me to have a knowledge of how to understand. And at university, one of the greatest things that I went there to be able to compete for an award that was their Commercialized Enterprise Fellowship, which I gained, to gain knowledge on leading students, find out what their issues were. Again, I was successfully competing for places. I became a warden for 2 years, and I was going to go on to be a third year to be a warden. I worked there in the university doing student experience. Basically, me talking about myself being a student. I led individuals as a student experience leader, and I spoke on behalf of the university with the business department. I spoke about my own single experience and did like a little play, basically, or performance play for parents to get an understanding of what it's like. And I came from a perspective, I did a lot of research to give parents an understanding of the realities of them having the children being at university. And it went down very, very well, because I was very experienced in doing that. But that was part of my leadership. Every year I pushed my leadership in my learning, the way I studied, I pushed the boundaries of my learning, training, development, because I knew the future is what they call fusion leadership. People need to have the ability to adapt, to learn, train and develop anywhere. And that ability I already had, because I'd been a trained dancer, and I was a street dancer as well. But being a professional dancer opened a wider opportunity to be a street dancer, because what happened, dancing street was one element, but you have dancing on different stages I got used to. So I've danced on the Royal Ballet stage, I've danced in small venues, people's homes, always performing, dance hall. So when I, as an individual, was working with students about learning to learn, I got them to learn to understand you need to be able to adapt, to be able to function at the highest level, perform at the highest level in any environment. And I've done that because I used to dance in clubs. We don't realize dancing in clubs up and down the country in different parts of the world, that prepared me to perform on stage. And so I transferred them skills from the street, from the dance hall, to actually the professional stage. It's important for people to understand that, because one of the things that talks about career employability is having the ability to articulate how you can translate skills from one activity to the other, but also as an individual having the ability to share with other people your abilities, share people your experiences and what it means to you. So it's important. University was an important tool or vehicle for me to learn to articulate myself better as a dance leader, who's an independent, interdisciplinary dance leader, which was one of my pluses. That means basically I was an arts manager, I was an administrator, I was a business manager also. Some people never got the experience, but other people are directors. I was that, producer, manager, promoter. I'm very much renowned for doing projects, and that's how I got into university in the beginning. I never had no qualifications in business, but what I'd done like 40 projects myself as part of my development, my leadership, unknown to people, because I was diagnosed as a slow learner.